this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. President Trump is hosting Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the White House right now. About an hour ago, she met with the president and some of his cabinet members to discuss the tariffs against her country. She's here to lobby the president for better trade terms for her country. Meloni has also been dispatched to negotiate better tariff terms for the European Union, reportedly due to her strong relationship with President Trump. Today's meeting comes on the heels of Mr. Trump hosting a Japanese trade delegation on Wednesday. In this post on Truth Social, the president writing that big progress was made. Just this morning, Japan reported a global trade deficit of $37 billion. It's the fourth straight year of deficits for the country. However, when it comes to the U.S., Japan enjoys a $63 billion trade surplus. Japan is now looking to make a deal in lieu of having to pay a 24% reciprocal tariff. President Trump says Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's termination, quote, cannot come fast enough. The statement comes amid the president's continued frustration that the central bank hasn't cut interest rates aggressively. Plus, he's responding to Powell's remarks from Wednesday, during which the chairman appeared to question President Trump's policies and their economic impact.
The administration, as I mentioned in my remarks, is implementing significant policy changes, and particularly trade now is the focus. And the effects of that are likely to move us away from our goals. So unemployment is likely to go up as the economy slows in all likelihood, and inflation is likely to go up as tariffs find their way, and some part of those tariffs come to be paid by the public. So that's the strong likelihood. And my hope is that we'll get through this and get back. Well, we're always going to be aiming for maximum employment and price stability. That's what we do. I do think we'll be moving away from those goals probably for the balance of this year, and then, or at least not making any progress, and then we'll resume that progress as we can.
By the way, the European Central Bank just cut interest rates for a seventh time as global trade tensions intensify. The cuts are said to be focused on countering concerns about economic growth brought on by President Trump's tariffs. The tension between the Trump administration and U.S. District Judge James Boasberg takes on a new layer, as the judge could slap some members of the administration with criminal contempt charges. In a ruling that was handed down on Wednesday, Judge Boasberg writes there is, quote, probable cause to hold officials in criminal contempt of court for demonstrating what he calls willful disregard for his March 15th order barring deportations to El Salvador under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. However, he goes on to say the Trump administration can still avoid being held in contempt by taking steps to comply with his order, specifically allowing the deported immigrants to challenge their removals in court. While the administration is appealing the ruling, the judge says the administration has until next week to outline what steps it will take or identify the officials who decided to disregard his order. Well, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is out with a new report on autism, which finds a, quote, unrelenting upward trend in diagnoses among American children. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy calls it an epidemic. That's a quick check of your headlines. Tariffs have really thrown the global economy into chaos. Potential widespread inflation tied to massive supply chain disruptions is weighing heavily on all of us, but there's a silver lining that most people missed. President Trump specifically exempted gold and silver bullion from these sweeping tariffs. While these new policies are triggering significant financial chaos, the administration preserved your ability to diversify into precious metals. If you're concerned about your savings, you're encouraged to have a free consultation with a Birch Gold Group precious metal specialist. The first step is to text America to the number 989898 and receive your free no-obligation information kit on gold. Learn how to hold gold and silver in a tax-sheltered account. The Birch Gold Group will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a gold IRA for no money out of pocket. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied customers, you may want to join the ranks. And you can do so simply by texting the word America to the number 989898. Again, text the word America to the number 989898 and claim your free information kit now.
coming to you live from Studio G and fighting for you for the Foxglove freedom. Here we go into another brand new hour on a free-for-all Good Friday. Warning, the Steve Gruber Show often results in extended periods of American pride, American optimism, and an uncontrollable enthusiasm for the future of this great country. We're kicking off a live broadcast day now on Real America's Voice, MTN, and reaching a growing global audience. Every day it gets bigger. Be sure to follow us on social media. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, President Trump says he has now gotten the Ukraine minerals deal put back together, but now we're not sure. Different things happened overnight. Number two, pollster Nate Silver says he knows who's most likely to get the Democrat nomination for president 2028, AOC. Yeah, you heard me right. And number three, like I said, Good Friday. A good free-for-all Friday. We clearly do not need a president or an executive branch, for that matter. That has become obvious. And honestly, we may not need a legislative branch either. We don't need it. We don't need a president. We don't need a House. We don't need a Senate. I mean, the men and women in black robes are ready to legislate and dictate everything they need to do for us from the bench. So why do we need a president? Why do we need a Senate or a House? Just ask the judges. They'll decide everything we need to know. They'll decide everything. All right, welcome to Free Speech Friday. That's sarcasm, obviously, but these clowns in black robes, in districts, federal districts, that think they can just rule over and lord over the entire country are completely out of their lanes. This is Free for All Friday, powered by Patriot Mobile and the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. The number, 877-310-9966. For those of you on streaming, any of the platforms, including YouTube or Twitter or Rumble, 877-310-9966 is the number, the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. All right? It's your chance to be heard, America. Don't be shy. Take a moment. Tell me what's on your mind. Two rules. If you've been on in the last month, please let someone else get a chance to get on. And, of course, keep it clean. It's a family program. After Hours is a place to light it up with more colorful language. I'll tell you about that later. Let's start with the genius Jasmine Crockett with the dumbest thing I've heard all week, and it has to do with an MS-13 gangbanger getting tossed out of the country. Of course it does. Here she is.
So let me tell you something. This ain't about criminality. This is about the fact that he was a little too dark for them, and he ain't even that dark. But they don't like melanin. Melanin is the biggest enemy that they have ever seen. This is why they go after certain people.
I guess being a member of MS-13 is about us being racist. What an idiot. Keep her out there more often, please. Let her go to El Salvador and make a scene. That's what I'd really like. 877-310-9966. Tim is on the line in Louisiana. Tim, you're kicking it off today. Congratulations. Welcome to it.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. What's on your mind, my friend?
Yes, I was just saying, if they go a happy Good Friday, but I was saying, if they going to go down there to those conventions at that prison, why don't the rhinos go with them?
Just leave them all right there.
Yes, sir, and have a convention.
Yeah, I think they should. Tim, thank you so much. Really appreciate you getting on with us and getting things started. Look, and I've said this. I think this is the best thing the Democrats can do. Tim's exactly right. Get them all down there. Get the rhinos down there. Get the rest of the Democrats down there. Show us who you really are. That's what they've done. These folks have picked their side. It's not your side. It's the side with lawlessness and gangbangers and open borders, murderers and rapists. That's the side they've chosen. So go ahead, advertise it. Because we will. Steve is joining me from Illinois. Steve, what's on your mind? Let's get right to it.
Well, tomorrow is a wonderful anniversary of 8 men who died so that Jasmine Crockett could open up her stupid gums.
Who are these
250
men?
years ago.
Who are these
Lexington and Concord. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Lexington and Concord. Was it 8? I thought it was 7. I'm going to have to go back and read again. I think he got me on the history fact there. 1775. That's what my coffee's named for, is what happened at Lexington and Concord. We talk about that here as well every day. Nice job, Steve. 250 years since Lexington and Concord, the Battle of the Bridges. the British didn't see it coming. Well, they got what they deserved. Ed is joining me in Indiana. Ed, let's get right to it. What do you got for me?
Well, we'll talk about the budget. The way we figured the budget today, they'll never get it balanced. You're going to have to change the system to the revenue received. You figure the revenue received this month is figured next month and is distributed the following month, and that way you can never go over your amount of revenue, and you'll fund the things that have to be funded, and the rest of the stuff will be eliminated.
So in effect, it's a balanced budget, but it's a cash in, cash out system.
Yes, that's the only way you're going to ever get it straightened out.
All right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'll speak to Ivy about that here at home. Maybe that's the only way we can. Our finances actually are in far better shape. Sir, thank you for the phone call. Greatly appreciate you. I do. It's Good Friday. And I'm glad to see this president respecting the Easter holiday and that Easter Sunday is coming. There's always, it's one of the things that Ivy says, there's always a third day. You'll always get a chance to rise. No matter what has happened to you, there's always a third day. It's darkest before that third day always, but it's one of the things that she's so good at that, and it motivates me. Joe is in Colorado. Joe, let's go. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Steve, how's it going this morning?
Doing great. What do you got?
What I'm wondering is, have they ever found out anything about how much of the gold is missing from Fort Knox?
Still nothing.
And if so, when are we going to hear about it?
Well, you're not, apparently. The last time cameras and reporters were allowed inside the walls or inside the vaults, any of the vaults, 1974. You can go back and watch the film. It's on YouTube. I've looked at it. It's interesting. But I can tell you that there's no verification.
This documentary, and it shows that in 2001, on September 10th, there was a guy who was auditing Fort Knox, and he found out there was $3 trillion in gold missing. And they next day,
well, be careful.
9/11 happened.
Well, of course, but I'd be careful about those documentaries, Joe. They sometimes play a little fast and loose with the facts. I can't verify or nullify that documentary. I just say be careful. Greatly appreciate the call. Calvin is in the Palmetto State of South Carolina. Calvin, what's happening down there? What can you tell me? What's your question? What's your comment?
Yeah, I'm just curious about what happened with the Keystone Pipeline.
No, I think the Keystone Pipeline is dead because, and good question, by the way. We have an energy policy. Secretary Wright moving at the speed of light to make sure that we can have all the energy we need in this country at affordable rates. But the Keystone XL pipeline, once Joe Biden pulled the plug on it, right? I believe that was the end of the line, because once you stop that project, you couldn't just put it back together with a magic wand. Calvin, thank you for the call. Greatly appreciate it. Gas prices down again today. The national average $3.16, by the way. We're down from $3.67 a year ago. Things are becoming more affordable around here, thank God. It's Free for All Friday. I'll be right back. What is the one thing you have to do if you haven't done yet today on this Good Friday? It's the same every single day. If you haven't done it, I need you to do it. I'm experimenting, and you are my lab assistants, all right? That is, go to Facebook, follow me. Facebook is the project today. I want to see if we can move that needle, if it's real. Zuckerberg's been changing the algorithm, playing around a little bit, so we want to see if that's going to fire things up again. I will keep an eye on it. Of course, you also need to follow me on Twitter, X, and Rumble, and we're live on YouTube now, which people seem to like. Just letting you know, you've got options, alternatives. If there's something you don't like about the service you have, well, then fix it. Ed is in Illinois, the great state of J.B. Pritzker, the 10-time governor.
Hi, Steve.
Hello, Ed. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Steve. Hey, I just want to talk about the Social Security numbers.
All right.
I've noticed for several years now. We all got the illegals working in mainly like the restaurants here in Illinois. We all know it. We all see them.
Sure.
And so I started wondering, well, how do they get paid? If they don't have a Social Security number, how do they get paid? And I started asking a couple owners that I knew that they said, oh, yeah, we know some of them, their numbers do not belong to them, but they use them anyway.
Well, I'm sure you also heard, hold on, Ed, you also must have heard here the news recently that during the Biden administration, what was it, 4 million? 5 million Social Security numbers handed out to illegals. That happened, so there's several million. And what is remarkable to me, Ed, is that they always come back, they being the government, they being whomever you pick, they being the rhinos or the Democrats or the mainstream media, it's always 11 or 12 million people in this country illegally. The number hasn't changed in 20 years. It's remarkable, isn't it? It's a lie is what I'm getting at. And yes, some of these illegals have Social Security numbers. Go ahead.
The other thing is, when they let all these illegals come in, of course, they bring the drugs in with them.
Yep.
And then everyone's like, well, we need the illegals because there's no one here to do the work. Well, the ones that are supposed to be doing the work are addicted to the drugs that they brought in. So they're letting the people in, they're letting the drugs in.
There's probably a bit of truth to that. There's probably a bit of truth to that, Ed. But the fact of the matter is, Americans, there are a lot of dirty jobs, a.k.a. Mike Rowe, that a lot of these folks don't want to do. But I think there's plenty of people in America that will do the jobs if they need to be done. Thank you for the call, Ed. Good, enlightening stuff from the great state of Illinois. Look, the other thing that you're probably not hearing, the number of worksite arrests. All-time record high right now, too. So if you think you're working and you're here illegally and you've broken the law, guess what? They're going to come find you. Oh, by the way, Chris Van Hollen went and found our Senor Abrejo Garcia down in El Salvador. Somehow got him out of the prison, or asked real nicely. He got out of prison for at least a few minutes to meet the good senator, who's never met the mother or the family of Rachel Marin, the mother of 5 murdered in Maryland, in his state. Never bothered to meet them or the family. A woman murdered by an illegal from El Salvador. You see, they have chosen their side, friends. The Democrats and the mainstream media and the left have chosen their side. It's not your side. Let me just be clear about that. It is not your side. In the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, we find Joe. Joe, what's happening? Let's get to it.
Hi, how's it going, Steve?
Good.
I got 2 things I'd like to talk about real quick and bring attention to. I don't know if you know anything about them or not, but there's a YouTube and TikTok phenomena going on where people are driving without licenses, refusing to give IDs to police officers, and they claim that they're sovereign citizens, sovereign citizens.
That's gone on for decades. Go on.
It's really gaining traction, though, lately, and it seems like the state of Florida isn't putting up with it, thank God. But Ohio and Chicago, they all need to get their stuff together. Second of all, this colossal bioscience lab, I believe what they're doing is evil.
And what is that?
More attention needs to be brought to it. They have brought back the dire wolf, which hasn't been around for thousands of generations.
Well, hold on. No, they didn't. They brought back
they didn't. They
brought back a gray wolf.
But they took DNA from
from a 13,000-year-old piece of bone, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. You're right, but thank you for calling. Look, they didn't bring back the dire wolf. They did not resurrect a species because the DNA they extracted from those 13,000-year-old fossils is damaged. It's not perfect. So basically what they've done is created a hybrid gray wolf. Do I think they should be playing in that realm? It's dangerous, potentially. They'd have a lot more luck, I believe, trying to bring back a thylacine, which is a Tasmanian tiger. They only went extinct in 1937. They actually have intact DNA from those animals, if you could figure out a way to create a fertilized egg. Danny is in Alabama. Danny, it's your time here on the program. What's on your mind?
Well, one thing I want to say, Steve, I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
My question is, our Constitution, ain't the Supreme Court supposed to protect our Constitution?
Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to tell us what's a legal law, what's not a legal law, basically called balls and strikes. That's close enough. Go ahead.
Well, why don't they do their job instead of sitting up there drawing money from all those people out here? And
what do you want them to decide on?
Trump agenda online.
What case do you want them to decide, Danny? Which one is outstanding that you want taken care of?
One, all the rogue judges we got out there, ain't got no business stick their nose in Trump's business.
Well, there's truth to that, and I believe that. Thank you, Danny, for the call. Let me answer that. I think that will end up at the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court will rule in favor of the Trump administration. You're going to find that, look, federal district judges are basically local judges. They have a district. It usually could be like an area like Boston or San Francisco. They have a district. They don't get to impose orders that impact the entire country. They don't have the power to shut down the president of the United States. It's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. Anyhow, happy Good Friday, as I've said a couple of times. It is the holiest time of the year for Christians, for people like me, and hopefully people like you. I'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Free-for-All Friday. Caught a clip off from Morning Joe over on MSNBC where Joe Scarborough, once a Republican, once a member of the Reagan coalition, traded in his brain for God only knows what. Mush, I guess. He traded that in and says that the Trump administration is losing this argument on Abreu Garcia. Hardly. Have you seen the numbers, Joe? Have you guys seen the numbers? The numbers are pretty remarkable. The numbers are this. 56% of all Americans want every single illegal deported, every single one. That's up from 38% in 2016, up 18 points. Every single illegal. That includes Democrats and independents and people that vote. They want them all gone. It's a fact. Let's see here. Keith is in Georgia. Keith, how are you today?
Good morning, sir. Several good topics this morning.
All right.
I had totally forgot about the Muslim Islam land they had in Texas. Hadn't heard no more about that till I caught some of Frank's show this morning.
Yeah. The sprawling community out there. That's a Muslim-run community out there in the sprawling land of Texas. Yeah, go on.
Hey, you're exactly right, man. It's been real quiet about it, but they're full-fledged moving on with it, and Kim Paxton's running for that seat for Cornyn. I hope he gets it, but I can't believe they're still letting that go on. And
I can't believe it goes on at all.
And the police can't go.
Yeah, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. I can't believe it goes on at all. There's this sprawling community. For anybody who, if you've missed this, there were these real estate developers that brought in and sold land specifically to illegal aliens because they knew they could get away with it. Built this sprawling community, like 50,000 people. All illegal for the most part, right there in Texas. We had the call earlier, 1775. It is 8 Americans died at Lexington Concord. That's what our coffee is named for. 1775 coffee, bold, high quality, built to last. This is it, folks. You want the best coffee to start your day? Get with 1775 coffee. It's what we drink around here. 1775coffee.com. You can find out more. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save 10%. You'll be glad you did. A lot of great stuff right there. Roasted by Patriots for Patriots. 1775coffee.com. Promo code Gruber. right, so during the break there, I was talking with my good friend Bob up in North Pole, Alaska. Says the weather's nice. Said I should come back and moose hunt with him again. I said, maybe we should do that. He's probably not wrong. North Pole, Alaska, just north of Anchorage there. Nice place. Let's see here. We've got Paul in Tennessee, the volunteer state. Paul, what do you got on your mind? Let's get to it.
Good morning, hell.
You there, Paul?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, go, buddy, go.
Oh, well, God bless you and all the rap people for telling the truth, and I wish more people would listen.
I agree with that.
What I wanted to do is just remind people to read Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7 of the Constitution.
Why is that?
As it says right in there, a regular auditing with receipts. And they say regular for us is once a year with the IRS.
All right, hold on. So Article 1, Section 9, Part what?
Clause 7.
I gotta have to find that. All right.
It says, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all money shall be published from time to time.
It says that he's right, folks. He's got it exactly right. I'm reading it with him. It says actually public money, but you're right. You missed that word public, but you're exactly right. Paul, you nailed it.
And Congress has been derelict in their duty.
Yeah, my entire life and yours, and probably 100 years before that as well, Paul. Good history lesson. I greatly appreciate that. He's right. We need a regular auditing with receipts. Oh, and by the way, they're doing that. They call it Doge. And Elon Musk is now the devil incarnate because of it. Elon Musk and Doge are doing exactly what he says here. They're auditing the government as it requires here. Article 1, Section 9, Part 7. He's right. There it is. Nice work. That's why I love you guys. Let's go to Texas. Alan is there. Alan, how are you? What's on your mind? What do you got?
I'm doing good this morning, Steve. I hope you are too.
Yeah.
Here's my question. When these Democrat governors, like the one up there in Maryland, want to get stupid on the American people, why don't we get stupid on them and suspend their diplomatic immunity when they go to El Salvador? They go on their own dime. And then when they get there, we can lock them up for collusion with the MS-13, and they can plot all they want while they're down there.
Well, we don't need to go that far, Alan. It's a great call, and it's a great point you make, but here you don't have to go that far. If you care to go this far, I probably don't. I'll be honest with you. If a senator or a member of Congress goes someplace to see somebody, if I don't agree with it, so it is. I'm going to blanket that with freedom of speech. You're free to be stupid, and I'm going to cover that. However, if you're down there negotiating with the nation of El Salvador, or you want to negotiate that you don't want people sent out of America sent to the CCOT prison, if you're out there trying to discuss how the border is controlled or anything of that nature, you are violating the Logan Act. Simple stuff. You're in violation of the Logan Act if you're out there trying. John Kerry has done this for years. Al Gore has done this. People have done this. They violated the Logan Act. Nobody's ever held to account for violations of the Logan Act, and they should be. So, Alan, I think you are on the right trail. I think you just took a little bit of an early turn. So, the Logan Act, you don't need to do anything. Don't need to worry about anything. Don't have to suspend anything. Just say, hey, you're down there in violation of U.S. law. You're not down there legally because you're down there negotiating with a foreign government to do X, Y, and Z. That is not allowed. Period. Paragraph. Yes, it comes to the point in the program where one of my favorites shows up. Jennifer is here. Jennifer, what is on your mind?
Well, thank you very much, Steve. You're one of my very special people.
Thank you.
I would like to see the judges, the lawyers, and the politicians that have violated their oath of office by being treasonous to the Constitution and the people of the United States thrown out of office immediately. No ifs, ands, and buts, and been banned from ever holding office again. The other thing I'd like to know is what in holy heck is going on with these companies that are hiring that have, quote, mass meetings and talk to the people about their qualifications. How can you possibly pick out a good person when you're talking to a group?
Very hard to do.
It just irritates the crap out of me.
Yeah.
People want to work here, young people, old people, and they're not getting the opportunity. Something nasty is going on.
Greatly
I love the
appreciate you.
United States, but boy, we're on a bad track right now. We've got too many goofy politicians up there.
You got that right,
I'm
Jennifer.
telling you, half of them are nuts. And excuse me, sir, but I'm a lady. I'm a woman, and these women drive me nuts. They're cracked. They're brainless.
Yeah.
They have no common sense. I would like to see these politicians undergo a lie detector test publicly.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Before we vote for them. We don't know enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Steve.
God bless you, Jennifer. How about that? Would you? Here's what I would ask you. If these politicians, Republicans, Democrats, unknown, somewhere in the middle, if they did public lie detector tests on pay-per-view, I'm lining up to watch that. I'm putting my card in the slot and saying, I'll watch that. Can you imagine AOC or Jasmine Crockett or John Cornyn from Texas that we heard about here? Hey, here's lie detector time. Did you say this? Did you do this? Did you know about this? Wouldn't that be entertaining? Never happened, of course, but man, would that be fun. All right, in Idaho, we find Steve. Steve, what's on your mind today?
Hey, I'm calling from the Gem State, one of the last bastions of foxhole of freedom.
There you go. This is the foxhole of freedom. Glad to have you on board. What's on your mind?
Well, I got a couple of things. One is that Hatch Act, that they ought to be paying for all that themselves, and the people who are representing this MS-13 gang, I believe that Van Hollen is representing them. So he's making money on both ends, travels down there on the government dime, comes back, if he comes back, and tries to tell us about how bad we are. Now,
well, maybe you've made a good point. Hold on. I think maybe you've touched on something here, Steve, that I hadn't considered. These people are his constituents, MS-13, as you point out. Maybe they're contributing to his campaign. Maybe they're contributors, financially, that are making it all possible. I didn't consider that. Go on.
Well, I think it's time for a convention of states, and I do not know or can think of any reason why, with the problems the country has now, why we don't do it and get all this stuff squared away.
Article 5.
Can get on with our lives.
Article 5, Convention of States. The gentleman was here with me yesterday. In case you missed it, go back and look at it. He was here again yesterday. He is here regularly. Steve, thank you for calling in. Greatly appreciate it. What if he's onto something there? What if the MS-13 people are putting money into the coffers of those running for office? I mean, it would be just like what happens in Mexico, where the cartels put money into the political machines to make sure those machines don't bother them. Mr. Van Hollen, are you on the take? Are you? I think that's a legitimate question. Again, we can put him on live pay-per-view on a lie detector test. I'm watching. Are you? It's the Steve Gruber Show. busy Good Friday, the most important Christian holiday of the year. It's upon us, Easter Sunday. And he is risen. Yeah, that's correct. We're going to continue with the phone calls here. The number 877-310-9966. It is the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. Rush Limbaugh used to do, what was it, Open Line Fridays? We do Free for All Friday, very similar. Rush, if not for Rush, none of us would be here. Lee, North Carolina, you're on the program. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Steve? Happy Good Friday to you.
Happy Good Friday to you. What do you got for me?
I think you've touched on this before, but we need to get some people that have broken the law, that are high up in the pecking order. We need to get them into court, tried and convicted, and going to jail.
You know, you're right. We need to, there's no question about that. We need to set an example for a few folks out there. I think you're exactly right about that, Lee.
Yeah, if we don't put them in jail, they're going to just keep doing it. Nobody wants to go to prison. I don't think anybody does. But
I don't think anybody does either. But
these folks like John Brennan, Mayorkas, all of them need to be, being tried for treason or whatever. They broke the law against the United States. Let's get them tried.
I agree with you, Lee.
Let's do it.
Thank you for the phone call. I agree. And a lot of people feel the same way. How can we ever get this law and order thing figured out if nobody's ever held to account? I can't argue with that. And when there are egregious violations of law, and that people Steve Bannon and others get hauled off to jail for contempt of Congress, but Democrats never have that happen to them. People like Mayorkas or Brennan, like he mentioned, that never happens to them, even though we know they openly have lied to Congress on numerous occasions. As they say, we have the receipts, and yet they skate. What is it with you folks? Why can't you hold people accountable? Republicans, you are in charge right now. If there is a contempt of Congress, or you lied to Congress, or whatever it might be, instead you dance around it. It is embarrassing. Jerry is in the great city of San Antonio, Texas. I like San Antonio, by the way. Jerry, good morning. What do you got for me?
Hey, good morning. I was just wondering, with the Biden crime family, this auto pen with the pardons.
Oh, yeah.
Has anybody really looked into that?
Well, I have, and here's what I have found out. It's going to be very difficult to get around, Jerry. I have, because if the executive consents, then it is legal and constitutional according to several different conservative constitutional scholars I've talked to. Here's the problem with Joe Biden. Could he actually consent? We were told in an in-depth, deep dive into him that he was an elderly man with a bad memory and therefore couldn't stand trial, even though he was guilty, because nobody would, convict a guy that was in that mental condition. So then you pose the question, is he capable of consenting to the auto pen, signing anything, legislation, pardons, whatever it might be? The answer is probably not. Here's the bigger problem. Time has passed. And time is going to continue to pass. And at some certain point, you pass the point of no return. And once you're at the point of no return, which could be now, actually, now that he's out of office, we might be past the point of no return. How do you ever go back and correct that? It's a problem, Jerry. It's a great point you make. Leave it to a Texan to leave a great point like that on the table for me to consider. And I think we should consider reviewing with the auto pen signed. I just don't think there's time enough on the clock, and they have bigger issues, and away we go, and it gets forgotten. Same thing with Barack Obama, who used the auto pen. This is why Donald Trump sits in public in front of a camera to sign the things he signed, so there's no question about what's being signed or why. Jack is in Pennsylvania. Jack, welcome to the program. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Got a suggestion.
All right.
Gaza. I think they should move the United Nations to Gaza and put them right in the middle of that. Let them decide what's going on.
Do they get their powder blue helmets and everything?
Say, have a good day.
You too. Thank you, Jack. Do they get the powder blue helmets to stand out there in the middle of Gaza? You know, and I agree. Let's send the British and the French and the Germans. Let's send the Russians. They're part of the United Nations. Let's send Chinese troops in there. All right? I think that's a cute idea. I like that little powder blue helmets. Todd, you're on board from Omaha, Nebraska. Todd, tell me what's on your mind.
Just a couple things. So if we got representatives running around doing their own agenda on, Americans' taxpayer dollars
every day,
and if they're not doing the right thing while they're running around, I think the State Department needs to revoke somebody's passport. Just a suggestion that should be looked at. And
but see,
my other comment
hold on. Let me deal with that for a second, Todd, because I want Van Hollen in El Salvador, and I want cameras everywhere, and I want all the Democrats to go. I want them to be on camera. I want them to be loud and proud and planting their flag on that hill they're going to die on politically. I'm all for it. Go on.
He's gone.
All right, he's gone. Anyhow, my point being is I want him on camera. I want him to be proud. I can get one more in here. Bob in Indiana. Bob, how are you?
Fine. I got a quick question that maybe you can clarify for me.
Shoot.
With all of the judges attacking Trump through the courts, there was one that I heard that had John Doe's. Aren't you supposed to be able to confront your accusers?
Yes.
And they're putting out these John Doe's?
Yeah.
Could you clarify that for me?
I can, except that I've come to learn that oftentimes in these big government machines, they play fast and loose with the rules, with the truth, with the sanctity and the future of this country. It's a dangerous game that they play every single day because they don't play by the same rules you do or I do. They're better than us. Just ask them. They'll let you know. It's the Steve Gruber Show on Good Friday, Free for All Friday, 877-310-9966. Back after this. All right, we rolled it out here just a few days ago, but we are live on YouTube every morning as well. Apparently, the people that go over to watch this program live stream on YouTube, pretty pleased with that platform. So enjoy that. If you're having any issues any place you are, you just want to try and check it out, go ahead. Please do. YouTube, The Steve Gruber Show. That's me, that's you, that's the community together, and we're in so many other places. Don't forget to support the folks in Real America's Voice, MTN Networks, and the LOB, the Lobster Networks of Maine. We're also there, my friends. We enjoy it, and New Hampshire as well. Tom is in Pennsylvania. Tom, how are you today? What's on your mind?
Yeah, Steve, thanks for taking my call. Two things that disturbed me was the arson at the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, but the other thing was the governor of Pennsylvania giving taxpayer dollars to the Muslim community that has alleged Brotherhood of Muslims.
Isn't it odd that Josh Shapiro, a Jewish governor, would make sure that those Muslims are well-funded? Go on real quick.
Well, yeah, I found that quite disturbing that he gave them taxpayer dollars.
Agreed.
And that community may have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and they believe in Shiite law. And if anyone
they do, they believe in the caliphate. Tom, thank you for the call. You're exactly right. I want to mention this thing about the governor's mansion that he brought up, and I'm glad he did. Look, the biggest crime to me about the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, the historical value and significance of the things that were burned up by this idiot. Now, he was a leftist idiot. If you missed it, another leftist idiot attacks America. But all the history lost in that mansion is it's just terrible. Burned up. I mean, this is where Benjamin Franklin was, and other great historical figures spent time in Pennsylvania. The artwork, the irreplaceable pieces of history burned up. But I also ask, where were the Pennsylvania State Police? Guys, I love you. But how does a guy hop the fence at the governor's mansion, run around, break through a window with a hammer, throw a Molotov cocktail, and then leave? A lot of questions there for me. I got to be honest, a lot of questions. It is Free for All Friday. It's the Steve Gruber Show. We'll continue. We've got Charles and Larry and more, and all your calls at 877-310-9966. That's the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, open for business today for the next 2 hours. I'll be right back.